Hey team, Dre here today. I'm going to touch real quick. I'm going to talk about hip hinging and kettlebell swing styles. These are things that we do in class a lot, and it's something I personally really like to coach with people, especially in regard to the hip hinge. So when I say hip hinge, people know, okay, let's bend. But what I really want to focus on is the actual mechanics of that hip hinge. So I'm going to grab my little PVC stick here, and I'm going to use this as a guide to demonstrate what I'm talking about when I talk about a hip hinge. So I've got this right along my spine. So when you're doing a hip hinge, you want to initiate the movement with your hip, not your waist. So you want to think about sending your tailbone straight back towards the wall behind you, and then coming back up. So notice that when I do this with my little pipe here, I send my tailbone back first. That pipe comes straight out towards the wall behind me. My knees are soft but straight, and my back stays flat. A lot of times what I see is when I say hip hinge, I see the movement initiating from the waist. So it looks more like this. The back is rounded. Notice that the tailbone is not going out. I have to really focus on how to do this incorrectly. So curling from the hip here. So the reason that I really want to talk about hip hinge today is primarily for the kettlebell swing. The hip hinge is also important in the deadlift, but today we're going to talk more about that kettlebell swing. So I'm going to just set this to the side, grab my kettlebell here. So there are two types of kettlebell swings. We have hard style and soft style. Generally in class, we do want to coach that hard style. That's going to get more tension throughout the body. It's going to work those hips and those cores, and definitely a lot more power on this one. Soft style is also something we do, and I actually see this a lot in class, especially if somebody comes in that has already been taught that type of kettlebell swing. Nothing wrong with either one of them. It's just going to work a little differently with your body. The hard style, again, this is about power. This is going to really work your glutes and core. This is where that hip hinge becomes very, very important. So I'm going to show you the side view, and then I'll show you the front view. When you're setting up for this, core is tight, shoulders are back. You're going to hinge forward so that tailbone goes back. You're going to grab that kettlebell, and you're going to swing that kettlebell back like you're hiking a football, and you're going to pop your hips forward. Notice I'm still hinging. My knees are going to bend a little bit, but what I'm really focused on is that power through my hips, pushing my hips forward. Turning it around to show you the front view. This is where I see a lot of the bell coming down too low, and again, that's where people can hurt their back. So when you're doing this hard style kettlebell swing, that kettlebell is staying right in between your thighs above your knees. If the kettlebell maybe touches your bum as you go back, that means you're doing it right. So starting same setup here, I'm gonna hike the kettlebell back like a football, drive my hips forward. Notice where that kettlebell is coming up. It's nowhere near my knees. All right, so that's the hard style. Soft style does involve the knees a little bit more. This is more of an endurance exercise. That was straight power. So when I'm setting up for this, I'm gonna set it up the exact same way. Knees are gonna be bent here. I'm gonna swing forward. Now this one, you notice that my knees do bend more, and I'm not quite bringing the kettlebell up as high. From the front view, what you'll notice is that kettlebell is still coming up right in between my thighs, not down near my knees. So again, setting it up here, gonna swing, my knees are gonna bend slightly, and that kettlebell's not gonna come up quite as hard or as high. All right, folks, if you have questions about hip hinging, kettlebell swings, any of that, ask myself, ask your other coaches, and we'll coach you through it. All right, thanks team.